Uganda, Museveni, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Robert Bobi Wine, Bannayuganda obuvunaanyizibwa bwani okutereeza ensi eno. Kinkakatako ogwandaba nange kinkakatako okutereeza Uganda yaffe. Naye ekituufu ekirina okukolebwa kyekiriwa. President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Robert Bobi Wine zino ensonga zitugamba buli olukya. Era alina obubaka buli lwasisinkana bakyeruppe bw'abawa ng'atabuwa ne Bannayuganda naye nga gyetulaga tulina kukola bino okusobola okulaba tutereeza eggwanga yaffe. So tulaba akatambi kano olabe amazima ekituufu bwe tulaga tujja ne Museveni tujja kumulinvula singa tunaagamba nti ekimala kimala.
Masaka seems to be an epicenter for ignorance of late. I remember in 2019, was it 2019 or 2020? I made a video on Erijambia, and I'm like, I come from a district. We're a small district of 300, about 400,000 people. That is Busia. You cannot cut even a single person there. And I'm like, if you just cut one person in Busia, we'll eat you up. We'll get you. And I was so hurt that they formed the Jambia thing started there, and now it has led to it's leading to 7 years later, and we are all watching. And like, what sort of people are these? Now these people came, they are not there visiting, and not even goes ahead and means so all boys like this is happening. But who are they introducing for you the massacre? It is sad. But that said, because corruption is not the money you're seeing. Corruption is not the money. Corruption is the mind. Because I want to give it of history. Some of the things are not involved. I don't believe medicine start just saying this thing of politics, but still I'm saying the world. And I wish medicine can turn around and we start killing these stupid people. I mean, they come there and they bring noise. I don't think it's medicine that must kill Uganda. Now, Socrates was killed. Socrates was killed. He did something. And when they killed Socrates, they call it he was involved in sophistry. Sophistry is tricking people with the philosophy. And then his idea that because corruption, that he was corrupting, he was killed because he wanted to find 56 young people. And that corruption was to ask why, when, and where. He said, ask intelligently, critically. Now, I was happy that someone was saying something that looked good, but he never went out commander. The man said, become citizens who are going to fight for their interests. And the commander says, where are the ones that see Aga? And they laughed. This is how they treat the gold policy. Now, the people took foreign interests and have put it there. Foreign interests in Africa, Uganda. Is China picking gold from Russia? Is India picking cement from Dororo? Is India picking the right part from Lake Victoria? The foreign interest is not homosexuality. It's not. Unless they're using people on our minds. Look at how the Speaker of Parliament twists it out. That I'm not going to respond to rumors by bomb shafters. Now, the people who have been raising up this, I said, no, and many people, many of us, me, I'm the bomb shafter, I can kids here. Wherever I live, a kid. I'm the bomb shafter. Now, look at this week I attended my parliament, and we are holding our black representatives accountable as the blacks. And one of them said, you as people elect us, that is not power. The power is you. That is not power. The power is you. It's enough for you to write an email. It's not enough for you to post on Facebook. It's not enough for you to go on social media. But come to the lobby. Come to the lobby. That lobby is empty. Because you have to come to the lobby. You're going to go to the lobby. We won't go to that seat. That Americans are seen as watching us. So the lobby involves people speaking, telling, this is wrong. And now here's how much doesn't respond to rumors. The rumors have a source. It's not like source. So there's sophistry in Uganda. Where people twist the minds of young people. So definitely is not the issue. The issue is how we fight it. To fight it is to show the people who have power that you have power. And that's the masses. And it is there because of the vote. So you lose. There was and I came up with this. This is what they gave me. I got it from that. He says wisdom is the wealth of the wise. Wisdom is the wealth of the wise. This is what he told that day at the house. Wisdom is the wealth of the wise. We have just been twisted stupid, ignorant people. How we must put it. Stupid, ignorant people. Because if you are Dr. Kagawa, this Dr. Kagawa, how can you be a doctor and stand behind walls? Where did that doctor read? Which school did he go to? 5 years, 2 years, 7 years of batting ignorance in someone who is a doctor? So the issue is not corruption of the money we are seeing. That's an effect. The issue is the mind. The corrupted mind is what we need to treat now. The corrupted mind is not going to arm now. Young people need to be armed. That's why I said this woman got a bear saying that people belong with that. Because when they said, when you stand it, they brought in Gali, they brought in Mosh, they brought in yes. Those are the people who have power. It's the ghetto that needs insurrection. So you don't belong there, and you are right to say, with people that belong. As I put it, you don't belong there. The people feel the pain. And the ghetto, that's why they ask for one. It's no. So we need to fight corruption of the mind. Forget that money is going to, and look at every other paper they bring to defend themselves. Every other paper is about, it's just a corrupt institution twisting words and what have you, because how they defend the money and like, but do we listen? Do we feel the pain, we who are listening? And that's why, like, for me, I was here and they were telling me, come to the lobby. You people, the lobby is empty and you're sending us emails. Sometimes you don't have time for emails. You're on social media. But our legislators encourage us, they even tell you, follow me on social media. Follow me here. They're using social media. It is a source of information. The issue is, are you armed with that information? Are you succumbing to sophistry? It is called sophistry, where somebody just speaks a small thing and twists and throws the public, and the public becomes stupid. Socrates was killed for sophistry, and he was arming in a positive way. Lucas, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you so much, brother. As you are speaking, I actually put up this picture of the retired principal judge, and it is terrible. But yeah, like you said, it's not just the money, but of course, the blatant disregard for honesty. It's pure greed. It's terrible, and they've lost it all. They do not have any morals left. Yeah. So guys, I think Navienda, please do come in, and then for the sake of time, let me just limit my yes. Thank you so much, Dr. James. We will be coming. I'm sure you have closing remarks. Yes, Navienda, how are you? Good to see you. I saw your poem.
Yeah, Lucas confirmed that you can hear me.
Very loud and clear. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. First and foremost, for me, I'm going to say that my brother, Dr. James Mujeni, has no authority or power to limit any Ugandan who wants to practice his freedom of association. If he's a doctor, if he's a professor behind Muhozi, that's their right. They are exercising, just like you're supporting Bobby Wine, yet you're a doctor, and our president does not have a degree like very many people say, but that is not the reason as to why you are supporting Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So for me, I'm always disturbed when an individual is saying, why is so and so supporting NRM? Why is so and so supporting FDC? They should be here. For me, I find it that we are being more like the dictator who has taken away this freedom and right of association or to identify with a given political grouping. The other thing I also want to make clear here is so I've been listening to different speakers in the course of the week, and I've noted something, Dorcas. I think there are two things that must be in place, or I might be wrong. And for that, I am not an island. I have every right to hold an opinion, but it does not mean that my opinion is right or cannot be questioned. So for me, Dorcas, I think we have three groups of people in Uganda. What is at play is politics. What is at play is politics. Why do I call it politics? I simply call it politics because we seem to have three different ideologies. We have the group that is playing politics for the public offices or political offices within the opposition. And theirs is to ensure they go back to parliament. I've been on TikTok watching Honorable Namuga. I think she's called something Namuga. I landed on her live video by accident, and I said, let me listen to what she's telling this group of people she's having here. And she is telling them to chase away everybody who comes to campaign for her seat on TikTok live. And she was telling them that we are now entering a political period. She completed the meeting and never talked anything about Museveni going. And those are the people you're trusting into office or into parliament to reject allowances. Last week when the speaker was speaking on the floor of parliament, she said that the last time the parliamentary commission sat was to approve your issue of fuel. You were putting us on pressure. Those were words. If you want to confirm the words, go kindly go to yes, Dr. Mgeni, I've not misquoted you. I'm kindly responding to what you said about a doctor who is supporting Mohozi and the time they spent in school. But I'll get to that at the conclusion of my submission, and I believe you'll also respond. So I was saying that the speaker on the floor of parliament said that why the commission sat in August the last time was simply because to approve your fuel. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not discussing corruption here. We are discussing institutionalized mismanagement of public funds, the taxpayers' money. Your area MP, not only Matthias Mpuuga, is receiving an allowance in form of fuel on top of the 30 million given to them, and committee allowances. All this does not want to be discussed. I have been listening to Dr. Agude Mumbi. Whereas Dr. Agude Mumbi is speaking a lot of sending a lot of missiles, a lot of acronyms that make no sense. He makes sense somewhere when he says that for us in NUP, we do not have a platform, or we do not have a platform where MPs report to the party on a weekly basis. As a party, for me, I would be interested in questioning most of his allegations, not to respond by throwing back a missile, simply because for me, I would be interested of us getting out of this entire crisis stronger, and not just strong, because we got into it strong, but we need to get out of this crisis stronger. So if he says that, can we create that? If he questions things like Nick, I saw my brother Mosh, my good friend Mosh, coming out to say that he didn't know that he was on Nick until when Abed Wanika went onto a morning talk show, and that's when he knew that he's a NEC member. Which of course that's all propaganda, and what makes politics is propaganda. So for me, Dorcas, I think we are now off the main objective of unseating Museveni. Because whether Mpuuga receives the 500 million or he does not receive the 500 million, believe me or not, in Masaka where he comes from, people are still going to die. People are still going to die in medical facilities that do not have drugs. Students as in Chisoro, where we saw a school that is almost falling on students, are still going to study in that school. Whether you threaten whether you threaten the Speaker of Parliament to throw her out of Parliament, she will remain embezzling funds, because that is her mentality. So for me, I think Ugandans have the right fears, the right expectations of what government should be, the right expectations of what functioning institutions should look like at a wrong time with the wrong people. The NRM is not interested in accountability, my brother, my sister Mimi. If you think the speaker will come and account for you on floor of parliament because we've held a parliamentary an exhibition on X or on Twitter, no, that is not what they believe in. What they believe in is to kubafuga paka kuwulira bubi, is to rob Ugandans. The NRM does not believe in allocating your taxes where they are supposed to go, because they are going to empower you, the ignorant citizenry, to stand up and challenge them. I don't know if I'm trying to be got rightly. I do not want to be misquoted. So for me, I want to say that focusing on characters at this point of the struggle, or focusing at characters at this point of the struggle, for me it brings two main questions. Are we fighting to improve the leadership in power? Museveni's parliament in power, because Museveni is in power, self-declared power that he has been holding for the last almost 40 years. Are we fighting to show the citizenry that we have power to work and better or improve the system of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni? Or we are fighting to bring out the rot with the regime? And for us, how strategically can we use this rot of the regime to topple Museveni, to annoy the civilians more, to spark the annoyance of the civilians? I was attending a meeting and someone was saying that we are looking at a point. I think our sisters from the Middle East on TikTok were the ones saying, and in my heart, I'm like, oh no, these people are so ignorant. They do not know that Ugandans are already annoyed balina obusungu but tebannamanya obusungu babu ignitinga batya. How do they use this anger? So maybe no one is going to account for the taxpayers' money because they are not in power. NRM is not in power to account. If you haven't read, kindly go and read the book of Professor Kanyehamba called The Defeat of President Museveni. He discusses corruption right from 1986 to date, the age limit and term, and he will show you that corruption has been a very big issue ever since Museveni got into office, and this battle has defeated Museveni. So transparency and accountability is a far-fetched expectation with this regime. The biggest expectation we should have is a more transparent and sober government when Museveni is gone. So for me, I would implore us and encourage us to yes, so what do we do? Because we need this. That is not going to happen under this regime. It will never, even if Mpuuga goes. What will happen? What we need to do is this. One, how do we ignite the anger of the people into removing Museveni? How strategically can we bring the people to topple off Museveni in a popular mass removal? That is why I brought out the example of Namuga, Benita Namuga, because when she's on television, or Benito Bawat, when she's on television, she's showing that she's so annoyed with the corruption and the regime. But in the live she was airing on her page, she is not showing the people down there in her home area where she comes from, that the problem is not the Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament is just a branch. Mpuuga is just a branch. All of these corrupt officials are just a branch. The problem is the root. So let's now treat the disease and not the symptoms. Lastly, before I conclude and read my poem, I wanted to say that the other thing I wanted to say to Ugandans is for me, I think Dorcas, we are at a time where things have entirely fallen apart, and things having fallen entirely apart, theft, mismanagement of funds has been institutionalized in laws. At the moment, what we need is not the laws. What we need is to overturn the tables of the temple. That is why you see Jesus Christ did not pray when he entered the temple of the Lord. He just overturned, he disorganized the entire temple that had been the house of the Lord, that had been turned into a marketplace to make money. That is what we need at the point. So for me, I am interested in answers that are being brought onto those questions that are put across. And I am also willing to learn from the opinions of other guys. And the other thing, Dorcas, I saw you put up a post of Bamuine. My grandfather has been Uganda's Chief Justice for 3 times on the regime of Amin, on the regime of Obote, and the regime of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni until 97 or the late 90s. But when he left office, today as I speak, he does not have a security guard. As I speak, he does not have the government car. He has his own car and maybe his own money because the wife is the proprietor of Green Hill Academy and he's making a lot of money that side. So why I brought out that example is Dorcas. There is something that we need to pay attention to. That principal judge that was paid that money, it was not corruption or it was not wrongly given to him. It is respect of a law, which law was brought in place by members of parliament. How did Anita Among become a speaker? By being elected by members of parliament. Why didn't they vote for Muhammad Israk or any other independent that contested against the speaker, not on lines of a political party, however much they are all from the regime? It is simply because they were in alignment with Anita Among. And believe me or not, why have I brought out that example? All those privileges the judges are getting, it is a new law that was brought by members of parliament. So the members of parliament have betrayed the struggle. They come out here, and for me that is the most important thing. And I was asking, and I'm asking still, why are these members of parliament coming here on social media? Is the solution on social media or in the offices they sit in for them to say no? For me, I will not receive this allowance to visit to visit Muhammad Segirinya 16 million in Nairobi, or I'm not going to receive this allowance for fuel. There is political hypocrisy. The big question is, how do we align, reconcile our motive, our agenda to topple the dictatorship in Uganda with the political hypocrisy at play? I've done a lot of talking, and for me, I'm writing a lot of poems, and today I decided to attribute one of
before
my
you go to
pieces.
the poem, if you can, there's one person who asked a question, that is Proscovia. He asked a question when you said that probably whatever is going on in Uganda in regard to corruption or thefty, there isn't so much Ugandans can do. So the question is that do you suggest that they should just look on?
Well, if you've been clear and attentive to my submission, I have said that we are we are having the right expectations. We are having the right fears. We are having the right aspirations in a wrong regime. Chinua Achebe seems to suggest in his opening statement in Things Fall Apart that once things fall apart, the center can no longer hold. You fighting in Mpuuga, you fighting Anita Among, you have not solved the system. For some of the people that have not followed politics in Uganda, I want to tell you that NUP is not the first political party to ask its member to resign. Sake of the NRM, right from the 90s and the 80s, and the IU, sorry for the wait, it's okay. Sorry about that. Right from the 80s and rather 90s, and before government yam 7 Ngatena Guamu and Sony, 4 ministers resigned on caucus by the sake of their political parties. That is why for me I call it politics. Kahinda Otafire resigned for pulling out a pistol against Super Don also has questions. Oh my God. Kahindo Tafire resigned as Minister for Local Government when he pulled out a pistol before the wife of was it Kutesa? Ruchkaire resigned as minister when his name was mentioned in a corruption scandal. Nekesa Oundo resigned after her name had been involved in a corruption scandal. So for me, we need to know where we've come from, where we are going. So citizens should not sit and look on. Citizens and the fronts that are leading us in this revolution should invest more energy in ensuring the system dies. Museveni goes. The solution to ending corruption in Uganda is Museveni going, not the politics in parliament, because parliamentarians for the past 3 years have let us down. I don't know if I answered that question right.
Yeah, I mean, it's Proscovia. Proscovia will ask that question, and I believe she can.
Yes.
If you haven't answered it correctly, probably she can.
The
Yes.
solution is organizing Ugandans to overthrow Museveni. Is organizing Ugandans to ensure that Mpuuga agobwa ku kyalo.
Yeah.
All right. Don't you want to?
Yeah,
probably-
because I found I mean Comrade Nabiana somehow it sound more like a corruption apologist, and I don't actually agree with him. Olaba, like the way the speaker is answering the questions of corruption when they ask her, she's either saying, mumuli mukulu anisala kubanga nateeka yayise etteeka ly'ekisiyaga nakyo yakyogedde. Memori mukulu anisala kuba temunjagala. But the question is, can she at least try to answer these questions? Ojjukira twagamba nti tuligenda mu parliament oba ojjukira president bwe yagamba Bobi Wine. Tugenda mu parliament ebiseera ebisinga tumanyi gavumenti eyinza okuwolereza abantu baayo. Nevayo with fake kind of okwedefending. For example, speaker wagamba, last time we called a meeting to discuss sente z'amafuta. Now we are even these developed countries, but politicians in omuntu yena akolera government bamuwa amafuta kiri mu mateeka. So speaker okuvayo n'akyogera aba agezaako to convince people like you okukkiriza nti bali babaweza amafuta so tebalina kwogera ku sente ze yalya. Joel Senyonyi
what is your question,
nga breaking kimu ku kimu a minute because he has spoken for over 5 minutes.
But Spadon, if you pose a question, you're going to have your turn to speak. You can pose a question to him, he will finish his submission, and then you have your turn. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, so can you pose a question, please? Honorable Nabianda, can you read us your poem and probably conclude?
Okay. Before I read the poem, let me make it clear that I am not a corruption apologist. I am simply saying that the measures at hand are not measures that are going to end corruption under a regime of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. What is going to end corruption is ensuring.
Okay, Spadon, you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, Nabianda, saawa zino oyagala, for example, ba opposition MPs betwagala so far batalinaako bbala lyonna because babawa sente z'amafuta babawa gundi baleme kulabisa, and how will people get angry nga tebali kumanya about nti Anita Among yateekawo radio ebukedia n'agiteekako budget ya billioni 3 nti buli mwaka zeefuna nti zeekuba akalanga ate nga yiye. Tunaategeera tutya nti singa basenyonyi tebali kuvaayo basinga president tebaavireyo ku issue ya Mpuuga for okunyiga saawa zino actually okukifula topic twanditegedde tutya if they keep silent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you much, Pardon. Nabienda.
Okay. I will respond to you. I'll respond to you, Don. First and foremost, for us to know that Mpuuga got 500 million, it was not by any member of parliament or the party. It was by citizens, activists, Jim Spire, Agatha Atuhaire, Godwin Toko that brought out this, and the party also was like, hey, bino bibadde gye ebirina by'obulijjo. So for me, I want us to get facts right, and so for me, I am not saying that MPs should not call out corruption. For me, I am simply saying that we should not capitalize on characters in this struggle, because the moment we capitalize on the character, it means that we are going to get rid of Mpuuga, but when Solomon becomes member of parliament, there is going to be still that loophole in the laws of parliament that that enable him to steal from the taxpayers. I was having an argument, just to answer your question, I was having an argument with one of my good friends who is almost my age mate or slightly older than me by 2 years, and he's in parliament, and he has been criticizing Mpuuga, how Mpuuga is enjoying taxpayers' money. I also asked him, you came here and I met you in Germany. You went to Italy. You were in Nairobi. You were in USA. Using taxpayers' money. Hey, why didn't you reject? You have a salary that you get that can accommodate you on all of those travels. On all those travels. So why are you also oppressing the taxpayers? The taxpayers. So for me, the point I wanted to make is we are already in a broken system. When things like this come out, it is good for us to show the citizenry that this is there. Ebbala ddene ate kati liddugalidde ddala tetukyasobola kulyoza lugoye kutukula. Because we are not working to improve, and the government in power does not want to be improved. The government in power, for it is interested in stealing taxpayers' money. That is why we should chase the government and not capitalize on the character. However much we should also have internal disciplinary mechanisms of disciplining people that have engaged in corruption. The last thing Doctors have been reminded, I wanted to comment on the letter that NUP released, saying that NEC has resolved to chase out Mpuuga, or informing Mpuuga, and Parliament has also been notified the same. And why I call it politics? This is politics. Doctors, the procedure is laid down by law in the Administration of Parliamentary Acts on how a commissioner of parliament can be thrown out of the commission, or can be recalled as being a commissioner. And this is specifically supposed to be spearheaded by members of the opposition in parliament, whereby 3/3 of the members of parliament come up with a resolution, motion, notify the clerk on this motion, collect, and in this case, out of those members of parliament, we have 550 something. We have a requirement would be 176 members of parliament. If it is true that we are interested in recalling Matthias Mpuuga, this is what I want to advise my party to do. Let us get one of the members of parliament from the opposition to draft this motion and notify the clerk of parliament. Collect 176 signatures. We follow the due process of the law and inform parliament. Parliament may not respect that resolution, but we shall put it on record. Those are some of the disciplinary mechanisms that we can take. So for me, two things we must pay attention to. The character is a minor. The major is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. So we should not major on the minors, but major on the majors, as we also concentrate on the minors. I want to read my poem.
Before you leave that statement you just made there, are you then suggesting that or question the intelligence and the understanding of the law within the file and the files coming and the representation or the leadership of the NUP before they got that? Because
my statement is, and it is not about we have lawyers or not, my statement is the due process is laid down by law. And it is my statement that the party has not respected the law insofar as recalling Mpuuga is concerned.
Okay, yes, the party can write to the parliament. Okay, that's not the end of the process. Yeah, the same party that sent the Honorable Mpuuga Parliament or proposed his name, right, as the member of the commission, can write parliament. The same way wrote to parliament to give his name as a member, appointed as a member of the commission. Now, what follows after in parliament is part of the process. But whatever the NUP did, writing that letter, is within the law.
May I address you the following procedure that is laid down by law? Administration of Parliamentary Act, process of removal of a parliamentary commissioner, process of removal of a parliamentary commissioner. It is not the parliamentary to do their part. Parliamentary commissioner process is under Instruction 5 of the Administration of Parliament Act and enabled by Rule 110 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. A commissioner can be removed from incompetence, inability to perform the functions of his or her office arising from infirmity of body or mind, misbehavior, misconduct, insanity, or incompetence. Section 5, those are the grounds laid down. 3. The motion for a resolution for the removal of a commissioner shall be initiated by a notice in writing to the clerk, resigned by not less than 1/3 of all voting members of Parliament, indicating their intention for moving a motion for removal. With 525 voting members of Parliament, just like I said earlier, we just need 176. The notice shall, this is Rule 110, Section 3. The notice shall indicate the grounds for the motion and all particulars supporting the grounds. And Clause 4, Section 4 of the same rule, the clerk is required to, within 3 days upon receipt of the motion, notify Parliament by causing the notice, grounds and particulars supporting the grounds of the proposed motion to be pinned on the members' notice board. 6. The clerk is also required in not later than 24 hours to transmit the notice of motion, the grounds, and all supporting particulars and signatures to the Speaker. A signature appended to the notice shall not be withdrawn. 8. The motion shall be placed on the order paper 14 days from the date on which the notice to remove the commissioner shall have been communicated to the clerk. The motion shall be served on the commissioner, and at the hearing, he should be required to appear in person, be given a hearing to defend himself, and shall be entitled to legal representation. Debate on the motion for removal of a person from office shall take precedence over all other debates on the order paper. During the debate, any member may, with leave of the Speaker, on giving adequate notice, during the debate, any member may, with leave of the Speaker, and on giving adequate notice, produce additional evidence in support of his or her argument. When the Speaker is satisfied that the motion has been
you cited those laws. No one is saying that.
Yes, that's the procedure. The procedure does not provide room for a political party writing to notify Parliament. The procedure is evoked by the member of Parliament. So for me, that is what I am saying, that NUP has members of Parliament. We need a member of Parliament to be the face of this in Parliament. And secondly, we need Mpuuga relieved of his duties as Deputy President as the investigation for disciplinary action is effected.
Okay, what you read was those are the correct procedures of Parliament. But those only apply when that removal is engineered within Parliament. The laws do not stop the political party. The laws do not stop because laws are about interpretation. We don't read the laws or interpret them the way we're reading novels or text in the novels. The laws are interpreted and described as a whole. So, under that law that you've read, the procedure, there's nowhere it's written that a political party cannot recall its member. So, like I said, that's the beginning of the process. Now, Parliament, after the political party, the UP has written Parliament. Now, the motion is going to be moved. Whether it will come through or not, that's another discussion. But the laws and the procedure does not stop the political party to start the process.
Well, Empress, to cut the long conversation short, the laws that govern the commission and recalling the commission do not provide for a political party recalling a member as a representative of the parliamentary commission. The laws give the powers and mandate to members of Parliament. That's simple. We also identify in the Mpuuga issue. The question should be how best can we address this? Because even if NUP writes to the Speaker of Parliament or Clerk of Parliament, that will be ignored because it shall not have legal standing or local standing.
Yeah, but you know
that's what I told you. That's what I told you, that we are in abnormal times. We cannot fight normally. We must fight abnormalities with an abnormality.
Yeah, sometimes you put the laws to the test. What if the law does not stop it allows? So what if
that has been put to a test? Let us wait for Mpuuga to be recalled. That's funny, but it will have no sense of contribution to the struggle of challenging your culture, whereby it also wants us to check our effectiveness in actions we launch against the dictatorship of the state we are fighting.
Okay, it's politics.
Anyway.
Comment again, please summarize, and then we roll the mic because we are closing. We will have a few more minutes, maybe 15 or 20 at most, and then we'll close. Yes, please just summarize, and then politics will be for another day. Yes.
Okay. So this is my first poem. I've written to the Speaker of Parliament. I've proposed to be his side dish or fuck buddy. I hope she responds and she reads my love poems. I'm sending it to her. And the first one is called Carrying a Monk's Head. And this is what the poem says. If I were a monk's pillow, I would witness how she would weep and break into sobs, mourning Ugandan children whose future is uncertain, the teary and weary eyes, tear-drained, recolored, and a face of agony. I would see as she takes pity on the people of the Pearl who face a blank and bleak future. If I were a monk's pillow, as she lies on her back and rests her head with me, I would crowd her with worries, unemployment in Uganda, school dropouts, the blight of the girl child that has no sanitary pads. If I were a monk's pillow, I would remind her that Parliament is discussing trivialities, that Parliament does gross misallocation of public resources, that the economy is in bad shape and the future is in deep shape. It is in deep shape, that the government is asleep as a monster is devouring people's business. If I were a monk's pillow, I would remind her every night that famine is weeping out people in Karamoja, that embezzlement in public office is high, that bank loans are crippling Ugandans with high interest, that hospitals are now free from essential drugs, that roads are cohabiting with potholes, that slum areas are infested with filth and the worst conditions of human life, the farmers are wailing in that junior public servants are gnashing their teeth as their seniors continue to loot and fish. If I were a monk's pillow, I would crown her mind with hallucinations, showcasing poverty, illiteracy, and disease. I would tell her that the parliament she hates has the power to allocate resources, the power to check on corrupt officers, the power to sanction the incompetent, and the power to influence the allocation of resources. I would remind her that her office is one of the greatest, that can strategically drive economic growth, that can address problems of unemployment. If I were amongst people, I would allow her no slumber, but nights of deep thought, with sneers and nightmares for uneasy lies ahead that wears a crown, that she may think about Ugandans wholeheartedly and with a fit of humanity. Sadly, Apilo cannot talk. Worse still, I can't become amongst people to remind her of Uganda's plight. Thank you so much, guys. That's the piece. And my diverging opinions or opposite opinions does not mean that I do not belong to the struggle. And they are indeed my opinions, and I own them and welcome any criticism. For God and my country, back to Uganda is bleeding. I'll continue.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate your submission and don't worry about diverging opinions. We believe that you're part of the struggle, and we must be really be able to accommodate everyone, even those views that we don't believe in. So for those guys who are waiting, raising your hands, let's have Super Don, you can come back and have your views. Let's have Proscovia. Can we have you for share from your submission, please? Proscovia, are you there?
Okay,
can you unmute, please? All right,
no, beautiful. Anyway, thank you so much. Opinions, but at the same time, we have to think that we're speaking to the ordinary Ugandans and we are watching the law. I don't know why the law comes in when it is something that affects Ugandans more. And the certain law is applied and certain applied to certain things. It is very sad and we have to look into it. I wouldn't go back to because you said you answered most of Namianda's things he was talking about. But as a country, it is very annoying that we are looking on as everyone comes up reading to us about the law. How can we realize corruption? I have this and this for all of us. If you want to cut a big tree, their houses, their playgrounds, their kids, everything. Do you cut that tree at once? Maybe it is me who does not understand politics. Since they say do we cut that tree at once? Maybe we can have that. So if we have a chance of cutting off branches, say that big tree can be easily cut without struggling so much. Let us cut those branches down. If possible, and it is very, very possible. When the president says, when these guys are here, do not stop them. What does that mean? Do you know that you're weakening this gentleman? The guy is not there, you're not going to access him. But the branches are creating and others doing the work. They're the ones doing the work. So if you let them continue doing the work and then you claim you're going to get it from 70, then they lie. How did this guy win our campaign? If we all know and remember very well, he knew where the strength of Mr. Bobi Wine was. This social media, this height, whatsoever. But he knew that there is that particular person or there's that particular spot he can touch on. And at least if he was moving like 20 per hour, he's going to get a little bit back. And he did so. And we're not seeing it. We have stretched a lot. I can talk on and on and on. But as fellow countrymen, my Ugandans, people of Masaka, State House, today the guy is there. And now when you're quoting the law, you're not talking about this gentleman who's an administrative officer who's supposed to be doing politics. And so that does not apply. He does not appear before parliament. But because the law, I beg to submit. Thank you, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Proscopia, for your submission. Indeed, we need to play our part as citizens because all those 50 of our salary that is stolen from us, tax, everything that we're meant to benefit from as citizens. So thank you very much for that. Swadon. Swadon seems to go off. Let's have Dr. Okay, Swadon. Let's have you and then you can ask Dr. again if he's serious. Go ahead, Swadon. Sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and thank you so much for your poll. Actually, it's a very flat type of teachers to them. However, because Comrade Proscovias has spoken about some of them. That's why I said I didn't actually say you are a corruption apologist, but I said you sound like either opposition okumwagira kyakoze. Second, bwe kenyini contradictinze. Sagamanya abantu kwebeka mu mateeka kulaba n'empuuga kenyini yajja basegeenya katwebuuza. Let's assume nti basegeenya be baati abantu ebijanja. How about those abafa? Babafa justice? Of course not. I'm not saying ni kyakyo kirungi nnyo kwebeka mu mateeka. Ate olaba activist saawa zino ng'oli mu opposition. Ekibi nekyo kivulira. Kasa tukwalira obuzungu obulungi. Ne tugezaako okwebeka mu mateeka nabo kenyini okwebaka ogambye nti amateeka ge Uganda tegakola. Ate bwe kenyini ogamba nti okujja n'empuuga tekiri mu mateeka. Kati lwaki ate atwesa amateeka g'omanyi nti tegakola ate naffe tukiraba everywhere. Teri opposition mutuufu ali kuwagira mpuuga ekintu kyakola abakuisha katunga byogako n'ekyokulala weerabidde nti mu parliament oba aliba amafuta oba ki yesobola engendero yesobola okulalisa abantu both national and international nga tuvudde ate kwogera ku bintu ebiriwo so tebona tutera sides opposition to be careful omuta confusing ate the citizen as we are saying because wobera bwekatugambya nabo ndaba following nange ndaba following especially about this actually by just family members but when that is okay bana chimanya no kazi chamu oba mbuga babanga ya following mateka ndipo chimanya oba ona siko zija ina ndio bawa but kana lokunya tumu because a mistake oba opposition ikola mistake the way is handling this issue and also you also argue very well in an situation we have to behave abnormally. Okay, let's assume the chini mateka ngate Uganda ochimanyi mu mateka egakola is it wrong na for oba amamba no opposition oba tulina enyanye ngegenda okuvunza ziri okujijamu na let's behave abnormally very na kola nga tufike na pato let's talk about the difference that why kujano biaga ndi mpuuga ya said this no it was months after na ababuli zake ku kachiko hapo sasa ate ng'okimanyi bulungi nti mu mateeka zaate tebamugobayo mu mateeka tukyala bulungi ku social media and everywhere nti saawa zino nekyo nakoze bandika parliament nawe kimanyi bulungi nti mu parliament bali basima ARM ate bani bodi yanvuga bakati tijja naye balikola the right thing at least the public no nti at least nga nuko ekyejjeko okimanyi kyanditegeezeza singa wakeera ku makya nga NRM yalikozesa saawa zino esashu omuntu yatwala omwo ezo sente zaali beshere kyanoku nga nokirina kyekozeeko nekisirikale sirikuzi omanyi NRM basobola okkikozesa nga saawa zino bagira ensobi zaabwe ne bazikyusa okubeera nti baziza kusaidiza opposition anyway ekyo kivuddeko zero nga tulina okola saawa zino nze ng'omuntu nti somehow nafuna happiness fena somehow bali reluctant mwetu wagisembyeyo mu kukola protest kibiki ebyo okubaliriza bali online abantu bakoleza bali mu diaspora bateeza naye ng'ogati mukugula somehow tusise nnyo mpaka saawa zino twali nga tuvaayo ne twegata ku lock saawa zino tulina and other MPs abavuddeyo ba Theodore Sekikubo nga twetukwatako ya infine nayo tusinzanga balina amagezi at least bamasese twetaka kulaba twetaka kulaba okulansa at least also etandika protest ezi national international of course national yetu twabyeko ne musena then yokulaba ba corruption apologists obanga abantu abamu abali kuvaayo kubeera nga baligeza kukuzanira kuwongo yalaba MPs nga tukizude nti balire sente zaffe ne bajja mu constituency zaffe n'ebyo ebisawo tubakubiyeyo tubyabe nga musena bikola naye abakyadda kugamba nti baze sente tumanyi onamba mu kooti to not work passport y'abantu yeri meyo ekyokola nekyokola kyogereko tulina okuddamu organizing protests either ku online oba tukikole naye nga tulikipa purpose for corruption yera kugula kulabisa Anita Amongo ne office baze nabyo byo senyo yabaddeko ne evidence waliwo obundi trip gye bakola nti ani actually yagedde n'agamba I got him nti waliwo sente ze bawa Anita Amongo emiliyoni nga na something naye nga ku trip emwe eraga nti bagirako bagundi accountability ezo sente nti yali Kenya and at the same time ng'ali Italy nga it can't be then ekyokulala n'alaga nti she has traveled out of the country 160 something days n'agamba ekyo tekisoboka kubanga tulabye Anita Amongo almost parliament seat eri mu Uganda apart from ekyo ezo deputy yalimu n'abatenga mu Uganda bali ne bagenda okuzala she only had 2 weeks ago holiday n'abaki n'amongo tekisoboka kugamba nti emyezi mukaaga akimaze yasa people out of the country nga tabeeranga mu Uganda kale agenda badayo later nga tatuddeeyo so nze ndowooza nti Anita Amongo corruption oba parliament okusinzira saawa zino ye target of corruption ate tulina menti gisabulira ddala ddala okulaba nga tetussa mukono nze bwe ndowooza nze ng'omuntu kuba waliwo negundi ne comrade agambye oba badde enesisoga alinyale nti Anita Among ali mu ofiisi eyo because of vote. Twakirabirawo era naffe tukimanyi nti teri kalulu mu Uganda akali free.
Please speak the mic. Yes.
Well, Docas, I think I will not take long. I'm just going to respond to a few things. So just one thing from Nabuyanda, and then I'll get back to Docas where you and me started this Uganda is bleeding. And how we have sustained this debate. Personally, in person, I was a chapter leader and I was supporting people power. And I've said it several that if Bobby Wine was an American, he's an asset. He's someone the United States would train because he has people following him. And that is an asset. He will not be destroyed like we're destroying him in Uganda. Now, my support for people power, when we went to NUP, I stopped it, but I have remained steadfast as somebody who knows what change is. I have been fighting since 1998. So I'm not new to this. And I fight using the services that I provide. Honorable Nabuyanda, medicine is sacred. That's why the doctors are quiet. And so when I say it is so shocking to see a doctor, doctors are quiet because we have what we subscribe to moral neutrality, such that when we are on this wall, when we live here and I get you in Nabuyanda in hospital, I should be able to treat you, not to take you as an enemy. That's why doctors are quiet. And so if a doctor is going to get up to speak, maybe if you have been following me, the way I speak, I try to stay morally neutral. I can only say this is right, this is wrong, let's do this. And so for me, when a doctor gets up and he's standing up there, he doesn't represent justice. As he speaks today, he can easily kill Ugandans. So I'm right to mention that strongly. He has a right of association, like
Bibyo biri mu ggwanga lyaffe Uganda n'obuvunaanyizibwa bwaffe bwe tulina okwasaganya okutereeza eggwanga lyaffe kinkakatako okulwanyisa obuli bw'enguzi kuba yenna mujinga alemeseza eggwanga lyaffe okulabana n'ogenda mu maaso n'okubona bonna byonna bitubonaabona waawo kale bwabanga Kyagulanyi yettaala yewadde abeera ettaala ffenna yetulina okutwakira okutumulisiza gyetulaga tulina kunyweza oyo na buli wetulaba omukozi w'ensobi tumugyewo obudde bukyali tumugambe gwedde ebbali tusinga kutambula n'abo abasobola okutambula n'eggwanga yaffe abasobola okutambula ne Uganda yaffe abasobola okukulaakulanya Uganda eno kuba Uganda twetaaga abantu abaagala eggwanga lyabwe twetaaga abantu abaagala ensi yaabwe abantu abakkiririzaamu nti kisoboka Uganda eno okugitereeza singa tunakola.
What is he associated with? I keep on asking the medical profession that we can liberate Uganda in one day because we know what is right. We know our training. It's a sacred training. So does that person speak like somebody who represents sacredness? The answer is no. And I have just said this again. The last fellow, I think Don was mentioning the vote. I am mentioning the vote because it's what they're telling me here in my country. I call it my country, now I go my second country. Follow your vote. Come to the lobby. And our senators are asking us, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, send me information. And they're saying it is not enough. Come to the lobby so that we see you, so that we know we are not speaking alone. We are speaking with talking because you have given us power, not to be powerful, but to use that power to serve you. That's what they are telling us here. So, quoting me rightly, I am not morally neutral as of today, but I speak justice. And I can easily ask what's NUP doing different from NRM. I am speaking about this because that's why we fell out here. We had, every year we had what we call celebrations here by UNA, which is more of an NRM outfit. It has taken NUP this side also to start the same thing. Everywhere we are having same boat cruise, merrymaking, and the situation at home requires us. Thank you. I'm done.
Byebyo mubiwulidde bulungi Bannayuganda obulumi bwe balina abali e Uganda n'abali ku kyewonna obulumi bwe bumu naye nga tunasigala kiri eri ggwe nange okutereeza Uganda mulimu gwange mulimu gwo ffe tulina okuguzanya okulaba nga eggwanga lyaffe libeera eggwanga eddungi. Kale mbaagala nnyo mwena abaliko Omukama Katonda asaba abakuumire tujja kuba tuddamu tugambe ebigambo wanabakkiriza bino Uganda mugereka nga tayi mweraba.